wish I knew how to blow smoke rings. But anyways, I'm Jared Lim and welcome back to Refiner's Forge. So today we're going to continue the shop tour series, and based on my cameraman's advice, he thought it'd be interesting if I shared a little bit about some small business advice. Now, I don't really consider myself a great businessman. Actually, I might be kind of terrible at it, but I mean, there are some things I've learned along the way that may be helpful to you, especially from the craftsman side of things. So, one thing, and this kind of goes to my religious convictions too, is that if at all possible, really try to build your business debt-free. It's just, there's some people that take loans and it works out for them, but there's something really freeing about not having to make those monthly payments on big pieces of equipment and or shops and stuff like that. So that's what I did. Now I had the benefit when I started this business. I had 4 children, and I used to be a police officer and got burned out being a police officer. So, but I was already in the National Guard as well, so I did that part time, and I got accepted to flight school. So, you know, I had that part-time income from the National Guard, and still do, to help me build this business. And so, and my wife and I have always had the philosophy of not going into debt. And we had great parents that helped teach us that, both my parents and her parents. So taking the time to start real small, and that's why I don't mind buying cheap tools that I can pay cash for, and then make some money with them, and then later on upgrade to the better, more expensive tools. That's worked well for me. So that's one thing, trying to build your business debt-free. Right. All right, so the second thing I would say is don't be afraid to challenge yourself and take on projects that you think may be outside of your experience level or wheelhouse. And so that's one other way I built my business. It was not being afraid to accept jobs that I hadn't done before. What comes along with that, though, is sometimes you try to estimate with that job, and most of the time, at least in my experience, you way underbid it, and you're really not, after you figure all the time you have in it, you're really not making money on the job. You know, and sometimes that used to really bother me, but I started looking at it as somebody's paying me to learn. So, so when I started having more of that positive look on it, it didn't bother me so much. And then that goes back to point one: if you don't have a lot of debt and you don't have that monthly payment to make to pay off your equipment, you know, then it's okay. You can take those jobs and sometimes lose your shirt on it, and it's not that big of a deal. So not being afraid to learn and challenge yourself, that's a huge deal. But so the second thing is realize your experience level, and that you know when you're just starting out at something, you're not going to make the big bucks, or you'd be able to charge for a project what the more experienced craftsman is going to be able to, and that's okay. You're starting to learn out your quality of the item, or refinement of the item isn't going to be quite to the level of a craftsman that's been doing it for 5 years or 10 years or 30 years maybe. And so you price your items accordingly, and then as you get more experience, the quality of your items and work goes up, and you can charge more for it. So, but that being said, you don't want to underprice stuff too much, though, because then you start undercutting the other people in your craft, and people expect a much lower price than what it's really valued at, and the amount of time and experience it takes to make an item. So it's kind of a balancing act there. And so you think, well, I don't mind undercutting my competition or something like that, but what I've really realized in the craftsman or craftswoman field is that relationships are really important, especially in the non-production handmade stuff, one-off stuff, custom items. You want to build those relationships and build good rapport and not undercut or make people upset, because once you develop a bad relationship or a bad reputation, it's hard to correct that. So that feeds into another point. Building relationships with like timber framers, woodworkers, furniture makers and stuff like that, and promoting each other's items and doing partnerships. So there's a few different people in my area I've done that with. People that make big slab tables. I welded and forged legs for tables and stuff like that. There's another guy, Jason Moore of Heritage Woodworks. I've done several items for him and his projects. The wine cellar door that did a video series on. That was for a project he was doing, a home he was working at, and I've made tools for him. And so those partnerships really help out, to promote each other, and it benefits you and it benefits them if you can provide a quality product for them, for their project, and vice versa. People love seeing those partnerships and people working together like that. You're going to get the occasional customer that's trying to get the best deal and they just want the cheapest price. Generally, those are the people you want to stay away from, because those are the people that are going to give you the most problems. They're never going to be happy with the work. They're always going to find something wrong. They're going to try to either get you to refund them or, refund part of it. So if somebody's haggling with you with price, be willing to lose the job, because it's probably not going to be worth it in the end. And so going along with that, Dale told me that he got more jobs when he bid the job appropriately and not overbid the job, but bid it appropriately and made more money, because people, when he bid at the higher end of things, because people took him more seriously, and he knows what he's doing. He's a master blacksmith, so whereas when you try to give somebody a bargain price, sometimes to get the job, sometimes it doesn't really work out that well for you. So where do you find that starting bid? How do you know where to start from? Well, I mean, it's time, cost, and materials, right? So generally I look at a project and I think, well, it's going to take me X number of hours to complete this project, and the time factor comes from experience, and you're not going to know that until you get some time under your belt and forging stuff. $60 an hour is actually kind of on the low end. So, but anyways, starting out though, that's not a bad kind of general rule to have. $50 or $60 an hour shop rate if you're doing it professionally. So I basically offer 100% money back guarantee on my any of my forged items, and I've had very few returns. Maybe two. I've been in business for 6 years, I think. But one of them was a fro, and the guy bought it, used it, and then contacted me and said he wasn't that happy with it because he felt like the handle was a little thin, but it worked just fine for him. And so, but I could have argued with him and be like, well, it hasn't broken, so I'm not going to return it. But you know what? It's not worth the negative review or the negative experience for that customer than to badmouth me online or to other people. And so I just was like, you know what, no problem, you're not happy with it. I want my customers to be 100% happy with what they have. If you're not 100% happy with it, return it to me and I'll refund your money 100%. So I mean, I maybe in the end lost $150, $200, but I'm willing to eat that cost to make my customers happy, because maybe hopefully that person will be like, wow, I didn't expect that. I expected to have to argue with this person to get my money back. So it's worth it to eat some of the cost sometimes. And again, if you're not in a lot of debt, you've got that wiggle room and you can eat that cost, and it's not a big deal. So this blacksmithing thing I do is not just a hobby for me, it's my full-time job I support my family with. So if you like what I do, a couple things you can do to support me that doesn't cost you a dime. You can click that like button for me. And be absolutely fantastic if you you subscribed and or shared this video so it gets out there and more people see it. And if you got any questions for me, hit me up in the comment section. If you got any suggestions, that'd be great. So you can go over to refinersforge.com and peruse the many items that I have for sale there. And anything tickles your fancy, you can put it in that shopping cart and click purchase for me. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time at Refiner's Forge.